Hey gang, welcome back to Joe Daddy's Garage. I want to tell you, I just heard a delivery truck pull up, and if I'm right, it's going to be the new headers from TCI for the Fangled Fastback. Let's find out. Yep, they're here. Let's take a look at these brand new headers from TCI. All right, we've been waiting for this for quite some time, and I'm really hoping that they are as good as Sal has told me, and I expect that they will be, honestly. There's no reason they shouldn't be. So, break these staples out. Those are holding on pretty tight. Okay, there's that one. There's that one. Ta-da! Let's see. Oh boy. Oh boy. There's the cut on a staple. Got too excited. The new passenger side header. I am looking forward to fitting these. And I'm going to do a comparison. I want to show you the new ones that they've created and the old ones that came with the kit. So let me set this one aside. There's a set of new collectors in here with, I like this, the O2 sensor on the collector versus on the header, because this way you can index it where you need it versus on the header where it's in a fixed spot and you have to fight with it. Great idea. Some mount bolts, fantastic. Driver's side. Oh, man, I can already tell these are so much better than the other version that they had. I can tell just by looking at them. So I'm going to get out the old headers and show you the differences. I was hoping there'd be a large t-shirt in there. So I've laid out both sets of headers. In the back are the headers that were part of the kit. And I will say these were not made by TCI. These were made by a company called Petronics, also known as Doug's Headers. So TCI really had nothing to do with the engineering of these, but they engineered and built these. The headers in the back, from what I've been told, were actually made to fit a 6-speed manual car with a Coyote in it. So the problem we run into is with the automatic, it wants to fight with this part of the header tubes. But also, we still had problems with the steering shaft. And you may have had to do something even more complicated besides bashing in like I did to make the steering shaft work. As you can see, I have modified these headers. I told you before, showed you before. I tried all I could to make them fit. And while I did get this one to fit, this one didn't. It was hitting in a variety of places, and it was not going to work. So I was told by Sal at TCI, throw those away, we're going to make a new set. And that's what they have done. So these headers are designed and built in-house at TCI. I don't know what the part number is just yet, but they have 20 more sets in production from what I've been told. And they'll be put up for sale or be listed for sale on their website soon, I'm sure. Now the differences of these, you can see this recess here. This is for the steering shaft. And this one I had to do a lot of banging and clanging to make it clear. This looks like it's going to clear just fine. Also on this side, you can see this real big opening in the middle, whereas all of these come together and flow back. So we're going to see if this will clear the starter. I expected it should, because they told me they've already test fitted these and they know they're going to, fit the car. So the biggest concern I have is clearing the starter on this side and also clearing the suspension in this lower section. So if you look, I'm not exactly on plane here, but you see where that first bolt hole is and this first bolt hole. These two are much further forward than these that are swept back. So that's a big improvement there. And of course, this one we already know everything is swept back and tighter to the engine block on this side. So these came up real high and back, and this one you now have access to the top to put all the bolts in a little bit easier. Also, I want to point out that the collector on the back here, this one is 3 inches for the first set of headers, and this one is 2.5. Another thing I do notice real quick is you have a bung welded in for the O2 sensor here, and there's also one here, there's one here, and there's one more right there behind that tube. The problem with that is if you need to make adjustments, you have to modify something, because that's in a fixed location and these actually aim right at the frame rail. So I don't like that. This one, I guess you could get to it and put something in there if you needed to. And this one, I think it's okay, but I also think it kind of played out back here towards the AC system. The new ones, the bung is welded into the collector, and you can pivot that to make it fit the way that you want. So that to me is a good thing. There's also a set of bolts here that comes with the kit. So I am going to lift the car up and do a test fit. I'll put the old ones on first so you can see the conflicts that I had with those, and then I'll put the new TCI headers on and we'll see how they fit. So first I'm going to put in the header that I modified, made it really ugly. And I'll say I had gotten pretty good at putting this in by myself. Didn't really want to, but I had gotten pretty good at it. Because I put it in many, many times. I might be out of practice now. Okay. Alright, so there's 2 bolts holding it in. I'm going to back up a little bit. So this would have fit basically like that. This is after I modified it though, because I had to tweak all these and try to get the alignment. Let me show you how it interacts with the shifter now. So basically that's where it would have ended up, and you can see this O2 sensor is right on the torque box. So not going to work, obviously. I'm going to grab the other one and just try to show you that. Now this, of course, the starter is still on it, and I can get it in certain point, and then it would fight because of the starter. So I had taken the starter loose. I'm just going to take it out of the way now. So take the starter out. See what the sequence was. I'd get it over the starter mount area. And even there, it's hitting the transmission lines. It's close to the bolt over here for the mount. It's almost rubbing up against the lower control arm. Not good. I'll take the other one back out and we'll test fit the new ones. Another thing I want to try out is on the rack and pinion. You have the shaft coming up here, and it comes with this big beefy U-joint, and I had bought a slimmer version. Now this is what would come with the kit, so I want to verify it's going to fit with this one versus the slim one. If I have to go back to this, I will, but we're going to find out. I'll slip it on there for now and see if it'll work to get past it. Alright, here we go. Well, that went right around that U-joint. Let's see if I can get another bolt up top. Of course, I'm trying to do this from the bottom. Some of these may have to obviously be accessed from the top. So, let me just see if I get this one up front here. It's hard to not be able to see your fingers. There we go. All right, I got two in, or two started. And it's going to be a little tricky, I think, to get these all started from the angles that I'm at here. A little snug. This is what you give up, is space for your hands to get in there. And with these bolts, which I'm sure they did it. I'll get it. Yeah, I may end up having to lower it down, but I really need to get one of these in the back. It's a little tricky. It is a little tricky, I'll say that. Well, for the moment, I just really want to get it snugged up in this position. And they're aluminum heads, so you can't be aggressive and force it. I mean, you don't want to do that with cast iron anyway, but you really want to be careful with aluminum. There we go, I got that one. Okay. Really get it up in position. That's really, really close to where it's going to end up. I mean, it's yep, that's it. Whew, let's take a look at that one. So looking up through, got all kinds of clearance. And like I was saying, you know, getting up into here, I'll figure it out. You know, it's just going to take some configuration with a universal joint or something like that to get it in. And that looks like it's really not even really hanging down. There's your clearance. You got room here on the side around the transmission. The other one was, I think it was hitting somewhere in here. Get your hand around this stuff, that's good. And then I'll put the steering shaft in later. Well, you'll see it. I want to make sure all that lines up and goes. So clears the linkage for the transmission. And let me look here. So still might fight with that bung just a little bit, but you can angle it down there. It would be underneath the torque box. Can't go, really can't. You might be able to go a little bit into the angle of the corner there, depending on the length of the O2 sensor. I guess you could go that direction as well. I don't think the shifter would fight with it. So that would probably be your best bet, to go up towards the transmission on that. But that's not hanging down any lower than the bottom of that pan. So I'll put this on and I'll try to fit that other side as well so we can have a good look at it. Let's see what we can do with this one. Now, there's no starter on here, so I might do a couple things. I might try it without the starter and with the starter. So right there, I'm going to have to go above that starter mount here. Okay, well, you know what? Let me see if I can get a bolt started. What am I fighting with? There's the front one. There's 2 bolts. Yeah, it's going to be probably easier to do this with the starter off. That one should be, I don't know if it's the thread in the head is messed up or not. The bolt doesn't want to quite start. Reminds me of working on airplanes. You'd have to like contort yourself all over the place to replace stuff on an airplane. There we go. Okay. All right. So that's at least enough bolts to hold it in the right position. And that's not moving. Now I know I can get to that bolt. I can get to all the ones on top. I can get to the ones back here. Yeah. So this side won't be too bad to get all those in. However, I need to see how hard it's going to be to get the starter in. I get a good enough angle here. So there's the starter hole. I could come in from the front right here. Yeah, that's Don't hit your head on this. Ouch. You know, if you have a cap like this, a bump cap, put it on your head when you're under these things. We don't donate skin to the lift. Thing is, I don't have this lift as high as I normally would, so let me pull this one out. Oh yeah, I'll be able to get that in there, I believe. Yeah, it's going to take a little finesse to get the bolts in, but I can get to this bottom one pretty simply. Let me see if I can get that one started. Yeah, that one's going right in. That one has the extra jam nut on it. It's in the way. The other ones will have to be done with extensions, but they'll go in. So you can see the starter through this opening. Yeah, I get that one. Now these other ones, I'll have to just get creative. I'm trying not to block the camera. It's really hard to get around all this. Surprisingly enough, I can reach it with my hand and get the upper bolt started. If I can get that one in, I know I can get the other one. Yep. Okay, I know I can get that other bolt now. Well, they're both on, and you can see I'm trying to level off with the bottom of this frame rail. So if I plane that out to where it gets flat, very little of that header is sticking out. Same way on this side, just that bottom section there, which is no lower really than the center of the transmission pan. So that's not a concern. Everything else I have no problem with. The bolts, I don't have them all in, but I know that I can get them in. I can reach all of these, at least on this side, pretty easily. This side will be a little more challenging simply because of the way the pipes are, but I see a way to do it. I'm just not ready to run them all in right now, and I know they've had this together on another vehicle. Come back here and you look at the collector. I turned the clamps over so that the bolt was going up, because when I had it on this side it was really close to that transmission shifter linkage, so I didn't want to get too close to that and maybe have a problem. So right now it's facing up. You know, if you rotate that down, you consider that amount of mass will end up down here. May not be a big concern, but it's easier if you just put it up. And I couldn't put it on, I don't think it would work on this side because of the linkage. So I'm happy with it right there. Coming to the back end of it, good clearance. Is probably an inch or more, inch and a quarter on top of the pipe from the floor pan. And I know I'll have to deal with the exhaust later on, trying to figure out how we're going to make all this work, but it may end up coming underneath here and going back, and we'll just have to figure that out later. I do have the bung pointed inboard and up above the linkage, so I think that works. Same way over here, I did the same sort of thing. I got that angle. You know, it's got a good finger length there, which is probably about, I don't know, 4.5, 5 inches maybe, I don't know. And then I also have this one pointed up as well. Same kind of clearance on this side. The only thing that I see, and it's not a huge concern, there's only so much you can do here. Right here, see if I can get zoomed in. There is, in this case, 1/4 to 3/8 of clearance between the solenoid and this pipe, but I also do not have the gaskets in. So when I put the gasket in, it's going to shift all this just a little this direction, not straight out, but kind of away and down because of the angle of the heads. You can see it's going to push it away and down, but it's clearing that. The other thing is the bolts for the engine mounts. So you're not going to put the headers on first anyway, but just keep an eye on this. If you want to put the header or the bolt in from the front, or from the back I should say, which I probably will recommend, because the length of the bolt, once you start taking away that to get the nut on, that could be a problem. So put the bolt in from the back, and that's easier anyway, because when you try to drive it in from the front, you've got the alternator and all that in the way, and when you're putting it together as a final assembly, you can drive it in from, you know, the back side. So put the bolt in and then put the headers on. On this side, you could probably get away with putting the bolt in either direction. I mean, there's no issue here at all. And the other one had a problem with how close it was to the pipe, but I can get 2 fingers between that. I'll probably still put it in going forward and leave it that way. Otherwise, everything else has good clearance. This bolt is not tight for the suspension lower control arm, so that nut will drive down a little further and probably end up with about a finger's width between the pipe and the nut. So see the solenoid there, clears the tranny lines, clears the frame rail. everything's looking good. Also, I want to show you best I can. I put the steering shaft in, and I'm going to angle it up towards, see if I can do this, angle this up towards where the steering column would come through, and there's no issue at all. That has great clearance all the way back, and I'll probably lower the car down to show you that. I don't want to put the column in, but there's plenty of room around the steering shaft now. So I'll lower the car down and we'll look at it from the top. So looking at it from above, all kinds of room, and especially I put the steering column in just to prove it. So there's a steering shaft, and I can run my hand all the way up and down beside that steering shaft. So I'm happy with that. Plenty of clearance. Go to the other side, and there you have it. I think these are going to work just fine. Just fine, you know. There's always room for improvement, and sometimes there just needs to be somebody showing problems so that they can be addressed and make products better. And that's what TCI has done here. They have made a much better product than what came with this kit, and so I recommend these. I really do. Special thanks to Sal for stepping up and making this happen. If you order a set, tell them I sent you. So, first off, let me say thank you to TCI and Sal, stepping up and improving a product line. You know, when I was working on these headers earlier, the other version, I was extremely frustrated, and I know anybody else who was fighting with these was also frustrated, and they decided to make changes, improve the product line, make a better product for the end user like us. I've done videos on other products for other companies, and they have stepped up on occasion and addressed those things as well. Some things you'll never see improvement on, some things you just can't. Like sheet metal parts, in most cases they're not going to retool and remake stuff just because somebody complains about it. But in this case, Sal and TCI decided, let's make this right, not only for us, but also for future customers. Because people that are doing these swaps, they want it to go as smoothly as they can, but there's always stuff you have to deal with. And so this checks one of those boxes. So if you order a set of these, tell them Joe Daddy sent you. That way they know you watched my video and you saw what I proved to be a good product. Otherwise, I want to thank my patrons who continue to support me in making these videos. And if you're interested in becoming a patron or in contributing in any other way, there are links in the description box down below. I will also post a link to TCI so that you can follow them or go to their page if you're interested in getting something. But that'll be it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. And until next time, take care of yourselves. See ya.